बालवीर सीज़न 3 का फुल एपिसोड 6, जिसमें बालवीर को महाजादू से बचाने के लिए एक सुरक्षा कवच दिया जाएगा, जिससे बालवीर महाजादू की वार से बच सकता है। और इसी एपिसोड में आप ये भी देखेंगे कि किस तरह बालवीर तुएर और बाबेल को मारता है और उसकी सज़ा उसे ये मिलती है कि बालवीर की सारी शक्तियाँ उसे छीन ली जाती हैं। अगर आप सबसे पहले सीज़न 3 के एपिसोड्स देखना चाहते हैं तो मैजिक वर्ल्ड को सब्सक्राइब कर दें और इस वीडियो को लाइक कर दें ताकि अगले सीज़न 3 के फुल एपिसोड्स आपके पास सबसे जल्दी आएँ। तो इस एपिसोड को शुरू करते हैं। टुडेज एपिसोड इज़ अबाउट द कमिंग अप नेक्स्ट ट्रेलर ऑफ बालवीर सीज़न 3 फुल एपिसोड 6 that we are about to see at 5 p.m. Actually, it is at 7 p.m. and we are going to have a deep analysis and a breakdown of this coming up next trailer. Yes, this is actually called Coming Up Next. So the new Balveer fans who are not familiar with this, it includes the scenes and clips of the upcoming episodes of Balveer, but this time they are really doing this bait thing where they try to bait the audience into thinking that the scenes that they are seeing in the trailer or in the you can say in the promo are actually in the next episode, but they aren't. So that's that. And in this episode, the very first thing that we are about to see is Balveer's Qasam Kal ceremony being completed, and it is still going on. And we are also going to talk about our first impressions of episode 5, and that episode 5 starts with the ceremony of Balveer, and we see Agil being desperate about her Mahajadu and how she really is doing her best to extract Mahajadu from Kashvi's body, but she is unable to do that, which is understandable because Mahajadu she was the one who just put all of her magic, that Maha magic, or it definitely is called mega magic, into Kashvi's body, which ultimately backfired, and now she can't get it out of it. So that's the story, that's the plot of our episode 5. And then we see that the parents, who are Babel and Tuer of Kashvi, desperately try to help their daughter, and of course they definitely you can say they surpass or they succeed to some extent, but then they ultimately would be defeated at the field, which is of course understandable again. So the very first thing that we would like to talk about is the Karagre, where the place where Balveer's powers, or Balveer, will be put on a trial for the mistakes that he made by hurting the people he swore to protect. Now, of course, the trial would have been very simple, and he would have definitely evaded the suspension of being, you can say, banished from the powers. But of course we see that Balveer couldn't control his anger when he saw his mother threatened. Now, of course, the love of mother is really you can say immense in this new show, and we see that motherhood is really a big part of this show, and we can see that through Tuer and through Maha Adishi. And yes, we are definitely going to witness the motherhood of the people on Earth as well. Kashvi is from Earth, but she is half human and half warrior or superhuman, so that's the biology of Kashvi, and that's the plot there as well. That's the idea. And of course, the Karagre is definitely a trial that is set by the accuser to the accused, where the accuser is that's Sham. Wait, what's the word? He's called Shashmar and Shashmag, I believe, and the accused is Balveer. But of course, it could be excused because they would have definitely, you can say, Uttan and Mahadishi and everyone would have excused Balveer hurting them because at first it is definitely a mistake and Tuer is not a good person. But there is only one person that is slightly good, and that is Babel. But Babel is with Tuer, who is an evil person, so it is completely understandable for Balveer to protect Shashman Lok before anything. So Balveer would have avoided jail time, or you can say this punishment, but then he was, you can say, angered and enraged when he felt that Mahadishi is threatened, and he felt threatened as well. And the person who did that was Shashmar, and we saw how that will turn out for Balveer. And of course, this is entirely a plot and a scheme of Shashmar, because that's why he did it, because he knows that if Balveer attacks anyone who is powerless, he will ultimately be stripped, and he will be stripped of all of his powers, which will definitely be the future plot of the future episodes, of course. Now, of course, they are just doing this in a very slow pace, and that is one of the reasons why the TRP is so low. And we talked about the TRP and things regarding TRP and how it could be fixed. So you can watch our previous episode 5, which really gives us an idea of how to increase the TRP of Balveer season 3. Now, the episode 6 will definitely start from Uttan Lok, where Balveer will be continuing his Kasamkal ceremony, and that ceremony will give him a Suraksha Kavach, which is a magical shield that will protect Balveer, or we can say it is theorized and it is predicted to sustain the attack of Mahajadu as well. So Balveer would be protected from Mahajadu as well. And just after getting that Suraksha Kavach, we see Balveer getting that weapon as well, that is placed on his hands or palms or forehands, and that weapon is actually very similar to the one with the Safed Hira, and one was I think it was actually a Shwet Hira. So the weapon is definitely very similar to Shwet Hira, and we definitely will see that in the future of Balveer as well. Now, of course, we talked about Balveer's new costume that was hinted in episode 5. Now, of course, we have already given Balveer the desired costume that he deserves for being Balveer, for fulfilling the purpose of Balveer for more than 11 years. So he definitely deserved a better costume than what he got in Balveer 3. And the costume that we gave Dev Joshi, aka Balveer, is definitely a lot better. It definitely holds a lot of power and a lot of magnificence to it than the previous costume. And we definitely hope that he gets a good costume change, a costume that he deserves very much. And the costume that was having teal colored metal with golden highlights and white armor with wings that are as colorful as the armor, and those wings would protect Balveer from all projectiles or from all attacks. So it definitely would have been a really great addition to the costume. So as of now, people should stop talking about baal veer going off air, because baal veer is not going anywhere for several months. So there are a lot of months behind baal veer's sudden cut off from the television, because the hype is as big as it was before. They just have to use the potential of this hype and the momentum. Now, of course, we also talked about how they could boost up their views on YouTube, on how setting up good thumbnails and titles of their own episodes would help them gather a lot of views, which they aren't doing a good job at. They posted a thumbnail of Kashvi, and of course Kashvi is not yet known, and she isn't a very popular character, and her close-up with her face all over the screen does not really help that. So of course they aren't gonna change their thumbnail. They really have a huge ego to do that. So we really hope that they if they try to do it again, they should definitely find a better screenshot that they can put up as their thumbnail, which will serve them and not anyone else, because that's their channel. So we really hope that they still know how to use and utilize their channel, which has 70 or more than 70 million subscribers. So we really don't know where are all of those subscribers at, because the most viewed video on Sony Sub is of baal veer. So it definitely holds a lot of power, baal veer as a name, as a household name. So yes, we are given this, you can say, this idea that Himbash Lok is as futuristic as Shashwan Lok. When we saw them using these flying crafts and aircrafts, actually there were ships and there were war ships, and they definitely have been really futuristic. And yes, we predicted baal veer's realm to be very similar to you can say to have a really futuristic vibe, which it did. But now it doesn't feel like it's that much, you can say, impactful, because the evil people also have that futuristic modernity in their realms or in their desired places. So we have no idea why they did that. And instead of using magic, they tried to, you can say, evade or escape from Himbash Lok using a spaceship or a space warship, or we have no idea what that was. And of course that scene in itself was definitely you can say just ripped off from Thor, where Thor and Loki stole a spaceship from Asgard, or I think it was the Dark World where they stole that ship from, but they stole that anyways. And the person who was passed out was Jane Foster, and our Jane Foster in baal veer season 3 is Kashvi, and it really is the same, you can say, from scene to scene, from head to toe. It's literally the same scene, or from corner to corner of a screen. It is definitely the same scene of Thor, and of course if we play it side by side, they really are the same scenes. Okay, so one more thing that we got from episode 5 is the reuse, or we can say this reuse of Veerlok, which is definitely not a good sign. It shouldn't have been used again. We really thought that this time they would learn from their mistakes and not use the same realm, just like they did with the planet transition that they did, and they really aren't afraid to use it again, and they still do it at every new episode. And we had really hoped that they would have learned from their mistakes. And of course they used the same place of Veerlok where Shashmag had, you can say, drawn the old drawing of himself or carving himself on a stone, and that place is actually already been used in Veerlok. And we can also confirm that it was actually episode 2 where that place was used, and that place was used where Shaurya and Baal, Veer and all of the fairies were, you can say, waiting, where Baal, Veer was, well, of course, Baal, Veer was rescued from Timnasa by Shaurya, and he was brought there, and Shaurya really broke the news that Baal, Veer needs help. Baal, Veer needs a new partner who would help him intensify his own powers and really just amplify his own powers. So those are the same locations. Now this sparks another theory that we have for Baal, Veer season 3, and this theory suggests that Shashmag is either Vivan or Baal, Veer, who is played by, or who is actually Dev or Debu or Ballu. So our theory suggests that Shashmag is actually Vivan, and that old place, of course we all had our hopes up, but they really didn't indicate in that manner. So we can really hope that the place that was being shown is actually Veerlok, and Vivan just remembers himself as Baal, Veer, and also remembers the old Baal, Veer who was killed by Agil. So the Baal, Veer that was actually killed by Agil is actually the Baal, Veer that is the other alter ego of Dev and Debu and all of our original Baal, Veer. So it really leaves a legacy, and this new Baal, Veer is definitely the newer version of Baal, Veer. And of course, it is said that Maha-Adishi, it actually is confirmed that Maha-Adishi is the biological mother of Baal, Veer, and this just opens 1,000 new questions with a lot of different answers to be answered. And we can only answer these questions when we progress through different episodes. And of course there are a lot of new filming, behind the scenes footages, and these videos that are being released by the you can say by the blogs and the blog channels on YouTube, where they show that Kashvi is actually trapped in Himbashlok. So the plan that was you can say made by Duer about rescuing Kashvi failed, or definitely ultimately failed, and Kashvi was imprisoned again, and she has been kept as a hostage. But of course she is a hostage herself, because Kashvi is not you can say Kashvi is not going to go anywhere without Mahajatu being extracted from her. So it really holds a lot of potential. We have a lot of, you can say, a lot of theories being made. And of course with Magic World you can always expect us to have that connection that all of the 3 shows had with each other. But now these 3 shows, or actually Baal, Veer 3, refuses to you can say to join these 3 shows. So you can rely on us to really make this joint and to hold that joint together, like Chalpari held the Rajdand when the evil bow or arrow was going to hit Baal, Veer. So of course we really hope, and we are really hopeful, that this show progresses with time and episodes. And as we have said before, we are really hopeful for this show to have the best you can say, plots and the best dialogue. And of course, we really were hoping a good dialogue for this episode as a whole. Episode 5 had a huge potential for being the best episode, or you can say for breaking the record of episode 3, but it failed to do so. We got some new information that is probably new to the fans, but we already knew that Shashmag is actually a veer, or he was a veer, and just like Naraz and Taraspari, as we have said before. So our theory, once again, as we are reminded again, that our theory that suggested that Shashmag is a very clear comparison or a huge parallel of Naraz Taraspari from Balveer season 1. So of course both Naraz and Taraspari were stripped of their powers because their powers would harm people, just like how Shashmag harmed some people or someone, and he lost all of his powers because he was incapable to you can say possess his powers. So that was the ultimate punishment, and now we can see that is really the case here. And of course we are proud of the showrunners to actually take inspiration from their own show, but then again, if they keep doing this rip-offs of other TV shows or movies from the US, where the cast members themselves agree and they just admit that their show actually takes inspirations from other shows, it definitely is a huge disappointment. But we really hope that they try to give another chance to their own shows so that their third show can do well than any other shows combined. Subscribe our channel and watch these Balveer episodes only on Magic World, where new Balveer episodes are daily uploaded with new ideas, only for the true Balveer fans who want to experience the wonders of Balveer that are brought to you by Magic World. Take care of yourself and be happy.